So here's the question. If we're in a black cube matrix, how in the world do we get out? Because so many people have been trying to get out, but they just find themselves right back in. Even Neo from the movie The Matrix showed us a lot about getting out, but he and Trinity ended up back in the Matrix 20, 30, many years later, right? And so I'm here to give some very timely insight about how matrices are created, how souls are brought into a matrix, how souls are kept in the matrix, how the energy system works, and therefore with the purpose of how can we get out. In a sense, we're not going to completely get out of matrices altogether. Matrix isn't the problem. The problem is certain matrices, they're like games, they're like simulations, and they start developing glitches and anomalies. And once the anomalies pile up, it's time to just have a whole new update. So it's not just fixing the 3.0 version or the, but it needs to go to a 4.0. It's a complete new update, a new operating system update. And that's what this is, okay? So we've been in, as the Matrix architect discussed in the first film, he said, there have been 5 other versions. This is the 6th. This is the 6th time we've reset. Okay, same with this. So, there's all these different matrices within matrices within matrices, and each time we reset and we have a new one, right? But the resets can be tricky, right? Because sometimes the resets are smooth transitions, but most often, as they have been in the past, especially the most recent one in the Younger Dryas, like 12,000 years ago with the flood, right? It's like, okay, we're gonna just wipe out most everybody. We'll leave Noah and his family or Utnapishtim or whichever story you've got, right? And the key is, we are ready for an update, right? And this will be the biggest update humanity has ever experienced, because we're not just going from 2 to 3, 3 to 4. We're going to this very special level, the 5th level, and that's where we have maximized freedom, right? We have maximized freedom, but we have to be sovereign in order to experience that freedom. And it's going to be big because we are in a galactic activation cycle every 26,000 years. There's a window of time, because of the way the energy lines up in the galaxy and everything, that we can collectively enter and go up into a whole new operating system without having to be wiped out, right? So it's a bit of a long shot, right? I just watched the Hail Mary project. It's a bit of a Hail Mary, right? But it is possible, and we as humanity decided, hey, we're gonna do it. Let's go for it this time. We're gonna. It's gonna be challenging, but we're gonna try it. And so I'm here to help with that migration. And there's lots of people here who are here with the specific purpose of, let's do this migration. Let's make this work. And so I just want to share with you my little part in this, because here's one thing. It's not going to be any one person doing it. We're doing it together. It's going to be a collective job. It's like a heist movie. We have to get all these strange collection of characters, the usual suspects, right? And we have to get all these sort of black sheep characters together and pull off this heist. And the heist is, how do we move from the lower 3.0, 4.0, 4.x, 3.x into 5.0 consciousness. Now, keep in mind, we're not going to a different place, right? It's a different state of consciousness. It's a different operating system. It's a different way of thinking. And that's what, Jesus made an attempt, over 2,000 years ago. He made an attempt to try to get one of these collective upgrades, but that attempt failed, right? But his attempt was also, he didn't come to say, I'm going to save you all. He came to say, let me show you how to think. And if we all think this way, then we can do this collective upgrade, okay? Now we have an opportunity, and so I came because I helped create this matrix, right? I was an architect on that team. And again, we're just playing around here, right? So, but I'm coming to share some insights about how the matrix is created, how souls are brought into a matrix, and how they generate energy like a battery when they're in that matrix, and how that energy actually keeps that matrix shield up and running, and why that is done. And it's not just a prison planet. There are positive reasons for doing this, but also how to get out. Like, if you understand how they're created, you can understand how to get out or how to migrate without causing a mass disruption. Okay, so these are some of the things that I'm going to share. Also, the logic, there's a six-sided sort of hexagonal logic. It's also, I call it the logic of the cross, right? Because there are these three axes that create a cross inside the matrix, and these three axes are the primary things that keep the energy going and that also keep people in. So we'll be talking about all those things, but I just want to share with you the overall project, and before I get into the details, because there's a lot of details, I just want to share the overall project because there may be some of you that really resonate with this and who would like to collaborate, right? So I'm developing what I'm calling an alchemy lab, right? But it's a soul code alchemy lab because one of my presuppositions is that we all have a unique soul code that's within us, our own. When Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within you, it's like we all have this unique code that if we discover it within us, it will unlock. And if I come up to, let's say that's 5D and I'm on 4D, and I'm in this treehouse and I've got up to this level, but I want to go up to the next level, but I keep coming up to this closed sign and it won't let me go up no matter how I try to go up. But this soul code is sort of like a key code. Like, let's say there's a combination lock, right? And there's like a 5-digit or 7-digit, kind of like in the Stargate, where like you dial and then you get to a certain place. So there's a soul code that each of us has. It's not one number that everyone can use. Each of us has to know our own soul code in order for this transportation to work. So I'm calling this a soul code alchemy lab. So the goals are to figure out what your soul code is, what your unique desire code is, right? And this is just like in physics, where an electron has a quantum number. There's 4 numbers that describe any particular electron in a particular atom, and the Pauli exclusion says you can't have any 2 electrons in the same atom that have the same 4 numbers, and so there's this like battling. But there's this secret combination where if you find someone that has the same first 3 but the opposite 4th, then these 2 electrons can combine in a way that makes them a Cooper pair, that makes them superconductive, right? Which means they can conduct enormous amounts of energy and they can go along with 0 friction, right? It's almost this magical space. So what I'm proposing is that we can create these sorts of Cooper pairs in humans that are analogous to the Cooper pairs and electrons. And that this will, if enough people do this, then this will aid us in getting that superconductivity so we can conduct all this enormous amount of solar energy that's coming. We talked about the solar flares, etc. But if enough people become superconductive, right, then we will. Now this is going to sound crazy, but I don't care. This may thin my audience a lot at this point, but it's okay. I'm looking for just I'm just looking for a few people that this resonates with. But the idea is that if we can create, like, let's say 144,000 Cooper pairs, right, that we can create this superconductive collective that is able to, kind of like a lightning rod, it can take in enormous amounts of energy without being burned up or destroyed, right? And we take one for the whole team, but we also take it for ourselves. It doesn't hurt us. We actually enjoy it. So it's a win-win-win, right? We're able to take in this increased amount of energy that's required to raise us to the next level, to the next operating system. But we're able to do it without, burning up everybody. So this project, to understand the matrix and the different matrices that we can get stuck in and that we're wanting to get out of, and that we're collectively trying to migrate from 4.x to 5.0, that project is what I've come here for. This is like my life purpose, okay? And what I've developed, I've spent many years as a philosophy professor. I've spent many years as a dream hunter, archetypal guide, and all of this has been leading up to this current project, which is to help in the migration from 4.x to 5.0. And it's an operating system. It's not migration from one place to another place. It's a migration from one form of thinking, one operating system, to a different one, right? And every time these updates have happened in the past, it often involves a resetting of the game, right? And those that are in that game experience it as a sort of cataclysm, right? Like the Great Flood is the most recent example. And it creates this cataclysm, catastrophic sort of memory that gets us very shy about making another adjustment, making another transition. But the goal is to say, hey, can we make a transition this time that doesn't involve a reset, that doesn't involve just wiping out, that allows for a smooth transition? Now, here's the Hail Mary project. And I know there's lots of people working on it. It's a collective project, but here's my little piece in that. I'm working in my lab, in what I'm calling the Soul Code Alchemy Lab. I'm working on a set of questions that can guide a person in their journey from 4.xx to 5.0. Okay? And the problem is that so many people are trying to give answers for how to do this, but there's not any one answer that works for everybody, right? There just isn't, right? The answer is within us, right? That's what Jesus meant when he said the kingdom of heaven is within you. So anytime someone says, oh, I found the answer, here's how you ascend, and they give you a recipe for it, it quickly turns into a religion, which is rituals, which then actually keep you from actually discovering the true path. So it's not that the founders of those religions, didn't find a path. Almost all of them probably did. But when their internal code gets shared as like, oh, use my code. Well, each of us has a personal soul code to get in. And so the key is for us to find that soul code. It's like a quantum phone number that only works for you. Your number only works for you. You can't use my number. I can't use your number. We just need to discover our own quantum soul number. And that number just amounts to like, it's kind of like a quantum number for an electron. It's like, what octave is this electron in, and what shape is it, what's its frequency, what's its complexity, what's its spin, like what's its polarity, right? So once you know all these things, then it's like you have to know where you are to get to someplace else. It's just like in the Stargate. Like, remember the Stargate movie and series? Like, it was like a phone number. If you dial this like 6-digit code, you can get someplace, but you have to know the last digit, and the last digit is where you're from, right? So your dialing requires you knowing who you are and where you are, what you desire, right? It's kind of simple, but you can see why it's become so complex, because the confusion it's actually part of the confusion it's part of the trick question that keeps people in the matrix. It's like, ooh, keep them looking for an external way out. Keep them looking for a portal that is outside of them. It's this person, it's this religion, it's this scientific theory, it's this political party, right? It's this revolutionary community, right? It's anything that's outside of you that's going to be my portal, other than me finding it within myself. Okay, so that in a nutshell is what I'm working on, and it's called a Soul Code Alchemy Lab. And it's a lab because it's meant to be experimental. Like, I have a lot of tools that can help you discover what your soul code is, but again, I can't just tell you what it is. You have to discover it yourself. So it's a lab, and what I'm working on is a set of questions that can help you discover them, right? It's not an answer that's going to tell you what your code is, but it's a set of questions that will help you discover more quickly than not, and more accurately than not, what your soul code is. And then you test it out and you say, oh, does this actually, you test it out by tasting it. Like, does this actually give me the life that I enjoy? Does this actually give me, help me experience a relationship in a more abundant way, right? Jesus didn't say, I've come to make you suffer and to steal your joy and to steal your enjoyment of life. He said, I come not to steal and rob and destroy. That's the others who come disguised as sheep, right? They're wolves in sheep clothing. But I come that you might have life, and life abundantly. So we're just going to use this lab to go, okay, here's this. I think this is what my code is, or I think this is what the first 2 or 3 numbers are, and let me like act on it and then see, oh, does that work out, right? And we're going to learn a pattern language. And then there's multiple pattern languages, but to go into a hyperdimensional reality, you have to speak a hyperdimensional language and a hyperdimensional currency. And so the lab is also about learning a hyperdimensional language. And there are multiple hyperdimensional languages. Sometimes it's through smell. Sometimes, for some people, it's through sound. For some people, it's through color, right? Some people, it's through touch and tactile. Other people, it's just an intuitive, sort of telepathic language. Others, it's through physics, and you can actually, like, you know, it's let's say through geometry. Like, geometry is another form of a pattern language. So we're developing a Rosetta Stone of all these different pattern languages, so that you can figure out which language works for me, and you get your soul code. You get you practice one or two of these pattern languages, and you taste it out. The proof is in the pudding, but the test is in the tasting. And so you're going to figure out by trial and error and trial and success, right? What do I like, right? And it's not, the key is, I can't say this enough, there's not one answer that's going to fit everyone. So if you'd like to join this community, I'll send you a link to join this community. It's an experimental community, and it's a non-judgmental community. Another thing is there needs to be low heat, and heat is judgment. That judgment causes us to bump into each other, but it's going to be a low heat environment. And if you're interested in this, just put in the words lab, right? Put in the word soul code, either soul code or soul code lab, if you're interested in participating in this lab. Okay. Now I'm also looking for people who are kind of at a level of being a scientist of the external, right? So there's two sides. There's the phenomenological side, which is I want to learn what my soul code is, and I want to do this so that I can have a life that's more abundant. But there are also those of you out there who are what I would say like physicists, right? Or biologists, or philosophers who are looking at the big picture. There's two perspectives. There's the phenomenological, which is the inside view, and then there's the ontological, which is the outsider view. So if there are any of you that are interested in the ontology of this transition, who like me are wondering, how can we develop a system of questions or experiences that allow a person to experientially navigate from 4 to 5, and you have insights from physics, maybe quantum physics, maybe you have insights from psychology, maybe you have insights from biology, maybe there's many areas, maybe from economics, because it's also economics, but you're coming at this from a black sheep sort of approach, which means Thomas Kuhn says scientific revolutions don't come from within the dogma, they come from outside. So if you're a non-dogmatic person, and often it's an autodidactic person, someone who's self-taught, and someone who is rejected by the academy, or rejected by the scientific community, or rejected by whatever institution is sort of protecting the dogma. So I'm looking for black sheep thinkers, right? This doesn't just mean like just believing something because it's crazy, but you're discovering something and it resonates with you as being true, and yet you're not finding a welcome space for communication. Your conversation or your questions are either not allowed, or they're even censored, or you're even rejected. We have 15 or 16 scientists who've been disappeared, who have been suicided, let's say. So whenever the rumblings, there are these anomalies are a threat to the current system, and so the current system is going to try to put them out. Okay. So this is what happened with Neo. He was an anomaly, and Thomas Kuhn, in his amazing work called On Scientific Revolutions, he talked about paradigm shifts. And paradigm shifts, they don't happen they're not this gradual just increase and we gradually get more knowledge. What happens there's these big revolutions in the way that we think, like the Copernican revolution, all of a sudden everything we thought about the planets and the rotation of everything, that's different. And then you have a Newtonian revolution, and then you have a quantum physics revolution, right? It changes everything. It doesn't use the old language, it provides a whole new language, right? And so we are in a situation, the reason the world feels so chaotic right now is because Thomas Kuhn says the anomalies start building up. So within any sort of scientific metaphor, and that's all any that's what a matrix is, right? That's what an operating system is. It's a metaphor for how we're going to explain and navigate in this game, in this assimilation, in this playground, right? So what Kuhn says is, like, anytime the current system starts to break down because there's too many anomalies, that's a sign of a new metaphor or a new paradigm shift about to emerge. And we are right there. Like, there are so many anomalies, right? Neo, they even called him an anomaly, right? He's an anomaly. So they tried to reassimilate him into the system through the right door or the left door, and he resisted and even fought a revolution, but he ended up being reassimilated nonetheless, right? But when there are enough anomalies or enough glitches in the matrix, there's just too many glitches, and we're all like, wait a minute, this can't be. Like, we are in a maximized glitch system. And the temptation is to just say, oh, I hate the system. I'm like, let's go fight the system, and let's be against the system, and let's go find all the people that that have been perpetuating this big deception and this big lie. And it's like, well, you can do that, but that keeps you in the matrix. I'll just give you a big hint right now. Fighting the matrix keeps you in it. Just like the revolution, matrix revolution is what, even if they so-called won it, they found themselves right back in it, right? Or even if you make this huge messianic sacrifice like Neo did, he sacrificed himself, merging with Agent Smith and then dying in order to kill Agent Smith. But lo and behold, next movie, he's still there, I'm still here, and what happened? Okay, so we are in this state of maximized anomalies, right? Now, what I'm saying is that if all these different anomalies, if you see yourself as an anomaly and you're like, this system is not working for me and I want a new system, then I would like to invite you as a collaborator to co-lab, to be in the lab together, because again, this is not going to be a one-person Hail Mary. It's going to be a collective Hail Mary. We're doing this Hail Mary together, right? And I like that it's Hail Mary because it's, Mary Magdalene or Sophia. Like, we're appealing to, or Gaia, we're appealing together to this Sophia, this wisdom. But we're doing this dance together. We're all going to be evolving or shifting together, right? And so if you are interested in collaboration, please put down the phrase collaboration. If you're interested in, like, maybe you're bringing a physics perspective or a quantum perspective or a sacred geometry perspective, or biological, genetic, like maybe gene code sort of approach. All of these things are different pieces. We have 12 different dimensions, and each of us has a different key, and we need to each put our key into this. It's like an egg that has the magic code, and if we get enough keys in this egg, we all turn our key at the same time, boom, we emerge, and the dragonfly emerges, and we collectively go into that state of, we're no longer swimming in the pool, but we're flying, and we no longer have just 2 eyes, but we have 5 eyes, right? So if you're interested in collaborating, please put in the statement, in the comments below, collaborate. If you're interested in being part of the experiment in terms of, like, hey, I want to work on this myself and see, I want to experience, I want to get out myself, then just put resonate. So resonate for the phenomenological side of the lab. Collaborate if you're interested in helping develop an exit code, an exit pathway that allows people to discover experientially their exit paths. So I know this is kind of just rambling. I didn't script this out. I'm just saying this because I don't have time to perfect this message because we're in an urgent kind of window here, and I'm not going to perfect it, but I'm going to give updates as to the questions that I'm asking, and I'm also going to be giving updates on this lab. But please join. And I just keep seeing this close sign here. I just want to do this. What we're trying to do is figure out how to bring down this sign and open up 5D. So now you don't have to be, you don't have to pass by a gatekeeper, but you get to decide yourself if you're ready to go up to the next level. Is it more dangerous up there? Yes, it is. Does everybody like it up there? Not necessarily, but do you want to have the freedom to go up there and down there? There's no one place. It's not like the higher dimensions are better and the lower dimensions are worse. It's that getting stuck in any one level, that's what hell is, right? So if you go to your favorite vacation place, but you get locked in your room at your favorite vacation place, even though it's your favorite place, if you're locked there, it's still gonna feel like prison. It's gonna feel like hell. So what we're aiming for is a level of sovereignty and a level of mobility and a level of freedom for each of us to pursue what we desire in a way that doesn't clash with others around us, right? So it's always like the one versus the many, but we're gonna find, the goal is at this 5 level, we are going to find a way to rewrite the operating system so that we can all fly around, seek our own true inner desire without having to conform with mimetic, false desire, pretended desire, but true, authentic desire. We can each be our authentic self, but also be aware of the others around us so that we're not clashing into them, right? And I'll leave you with this one image of the starling murmuration, right? So a starling murmuration is where you have thousands of starlings. They come together before going to bed, and they do this big dance in the sky, right? They're all just flying, thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of starlings all flying together, and it's a miracle. It's mesmerizing to watch. I could watch this for hours, and it's like, how do they do that? And so there are all these individual birds that are all like flying around, but you look at them all and it's like, wow, that's like one organism. It's one, yet it's many, right? And the biggest philosophical question of all time is really the question of the one and the many, the freedom of the one versus the safety and protection and the good of the many. So if one person has too much freedom, they're gonna be stepping on other people, and but if the collective is too controlling, then the one doesn't have their freedom. But you ultimately want to have freedom, but also freedom to do what you want, go where you want, fly where you want to fly without crashing into others or stepping on other people's sovereignty. So these starlings, right? They're from the stars, right? I have my, I'm sure they're probably from the stars, right? Like they're here to give us a message. They're here to give us a clue as to how to fly in the stars, right? Because here's what they do. They do it as there's no one mastermind who's controlling everything. Now, 4.x, 3.x, 2.x, 1, all these matrices have had a mastermind, like an architect and an oracle, who are like overseeing it. And then they have guardians, right? Like the archons, or however you want to say it, right? But there's this big system of hierarchical control coming up to like the zero ring, right? Like Lord of the Rings, the one ring to rule them all, right? It requires this mastermind, right? And so this is what hypothetical matrices are like. But the murmuration of starlings does not have a mastermind. It's not hierarchical, and yet it's also not chaotic, right? It's amazingly, organically beautiful. Like all these birds are sovereign, but it's also not a hive mind, right? Like the TV show Pluribus, like, oh, it's either you're an individual and you're free, or you join this collective hive mind and now you're just like an automaton, like you have no freedom because you're aware of everybody else's thoughts. But here's the secret. It's not like, lose yourself in the collective and in the collective hive mind, or have individual autonomy and you're all by yourself and you have no one to connect to, which is kind of the thesis of the Pluribus. It's hive mind or individual, like one or many. But the starlings give us this clue. It's amazing, right? And their clue is that each starling is sovereign over where it flies. No one's telling it where to fly. It gets to decide where it wants to fly. And it's participating in this collective, but it's flying where it wants to go. And neither is it aware of all the hundreds of thousands. Like, you'd have no room for your own thoughts if you had to entertain hundreds of thousands of other people's thoughts and experiences at the same time. Yours would get lost. But they're center of their own universe, but they're aware of 6 other starlings around them, right? Their 6 closest ones. They're aware of those. So they don't get overwhelmed by the others. They're the center of their universe. Each bird is the center of their universe, which has like 6 surrounding it that are local. Like, it's aware of each. Oh, I'm not. If I turn too sharp right here, oh, I'd bump into that bird. Or if I went too sharp that way, I'd bump into that bird. Or if I went too sharp up, I would, bump into the bird above me. So each one is aware, and it just moves in a way that sort of negotiates. Kind of like, okay, start going this way. Okay, you follow me there. Oh, we go this way. Okay, yeah, we go. Oh, now we're going down. We're going up. But you're always, you have this cushion in between you, and you're aware of that cushion, and you're aware of like, oh, they're not going with me, so I'm not going to push that way. So okay, they're not responding. I'm wanting to turn. They're not wanting. Okay, so I'm going to adjust. Right? So there's this, you're aware of yourself, but you're also not going to bump into those around you. And you also don't have to be thinking, you don't have to be aware of hundreds of thousands of others. It's not the hive mind. It's not the lonely, isolated individual who has no communion, but it's the beautiful balance. And the starlings give us the secret. And I invite us to just think, like, this is what we're moving into. Well, we just have to transition into it, and we have to transition away from being told by others what we can do, where we can do it, when we can do it, how we can do it, right? Because we're going from a mastermind situation to a magnamind, which is, magnamind is, there's no central mastermind, but each of us is the center of our mind and aware of those directly around us. So it's worth an experiment. And if you are as excited about this as I am, and also curious, right, then I invite you to join in my lab, and we'll see where this goes. To be continued.